recreational drug use, which is what people think when we talk about mind-altering substances. But this
Right,
show,
that's what we're talking about specifically, yeah.
right, and this show is definitely, we're talking about using psychedelic, especially sacred plant medicines.
That was an education.
Yeah. So your kids, you raised us straight edge, and we start going through our own mental health journey. And
I think we need to include your mom in on this.
Yeah,
because,
please.
Suzette and I'm not telling you guys, of course, I'm telling the audience that we've been together 45 years. And when we met, we were both straight edge. Well, we both had a bad first experience. Let's just say I was with you. Oh, she's gonna say no. That's not true. That's not true. Didn't we ever talk about this before the thing started? Well, you speak for yourself, Suzette.
Well, my experience is very different than yours. I grew up with a family of alcoholics and drug abusers, and not only was my family doing drugs and drinking, but all my friends that I associated with. And as I got older, I saw where their lives were going. And I said, this is not the direction I want my life to go into. So that is why. And what he's referring to is when I first started dating him, yes, I got drunk, but that had
15 whiskey sours on an empty
15.
stomach
That's my favorite drink.
and a
Three.
105-pound 15-year-old girl.
exaggeration. So yeah, but that wasn't why I already
I just want to
swore
call
off
out
it.
but not wanting to be painted like you drank alcohol once, but when it comes to ayahuasca or psychedelic plant medicines, you're willing to share it. I mean, what is the difference in your opinion from the very conventional, socially accepted recreational use of alcohol versus your experience with plant medicines?
All right, I lived my life straight edge, never willing to do any kind of drugs or even pharmaceuticals. And I had started my spiritual journey after my mother died unexpectedly. Then my brother was murdered a short time after, and then my other brother committed suicide. And I, had a complete breakdown. And I was seeing a therapist, and the therapist was pushing me to go on antidepressants. And I fought it like I've fought it my whole life and said, I don't need antidepressants. And I would say, I don't know how long it was, months of being in therapy and going nowhere. One day I was yelling at Cody for something stupid. I don't remember what it was. And he turned around and called me a lunatic.
Sorry about that. And
when he did, it was like a wake-up call for me, because I was like, is this what I've become? I'm a lunatic. I've always prided myself on being a great mom. And maybe not perfect, but my children always came first, and that's all that mattered to me. And here, I was losing that. I was losing that game. And I said, I got to get my shit together. So I went back to the therapist, and she put me on antidepressants. And I kind of felt like I lost the battle. Like, I can't believe this is what has become of me. And because I always viewed myself as a tough chick. I'm a tough chick. I can handle this. So a week in, I said, screw this. A voice in my head said, you don't need antidepressants. You could do this. And I said, shit, yeah, I could do this. And that was it. I went off the antidepressants, and now I was on the road to recovery. And the question was, how do I achieve that? So I said, okay, I'm going to start reading spiritual books. And I started reading a book by George Anderson called Lessons from the Light. And a lot of the problems that I was having is that some of the things that my brothers, both brothers, and my mom, they didn't live really clean life in a Catholic church kind of way. Like, I was raised Catholic. I'm Italian.
Are you talking about Uncle Vinny and Uncle Thomas?
Yes. So, my mom was divorced, and that was her going to hell. My brother was involved with, crime. My other brother was a drug dealer. So, I was worried about them going to heaven. And that was a big problem. I was really worried about them. And I started reading this book, and I realized there is no heaven and hell. But anyway, this started me on my journey. And as the years went by, I got more and more spiritual. And I was set that I wanted to go to a retreat center. And all of a sudden, Cody and Shane are going on a retreat center. And I wanted to come. And I said to Cody, I want to come. And Cody says, no, Ma, you can't, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I did not know that they were psychedelics. Now, Cody will tell you that he warned me.
We absolutely warned her.
And if that word psychedelic came into my head, I wouldn't have done it.
He said to you, do smoke weed or something
I
beforehand.
know
Don't
that,
just
but
go
I
to the
didn't want
hardest
to
psychedelic.
hear it because I was so conditioned of, those are drugs. To me, acid, pot, all of that is a drug. I saw my friends on all of that, and their life was a mess. They were in and out of mental institutions. They were committing suicide. There was nobody was spiritual. They were just drug addicts. So as far as I was concerned, they were drugs, and I did not want to do that. So I went there with an open heart and an open mind, even though my children tried to warn me, and I had the earmuffs on. And I fell in love with this plant medicine, and I've been on that journey ever since.
Well, let me ask something. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just kind of I feel like we're burying the lead here. Okay. You went and did plant medicines, having never smoked cannabis before, not drinking alcohol, being famously straight edge, right?
Yes.
You went and worked with some of the hardest sacred plant medicines known to man: wachuma, ayahuasca, bobensana, vilca. Mapacho, and what?
Basically, I was fucked up.
What did you?
For 2 weeks.
What did you heal doing that?
I healed a lot of stuff, things that I didn't even know that I had. I carried this pain in my heart and in my stomach. I had an issue with my stomach, and I had seen multiple doctors for it. I couldn't figure out what was going on in my stomach. And when my mom and my brothers died, I couldn't sleep. I was tortured by my own thoughts. And I was taking Ambien. And in the process of taking Ambien, I lost my memory. I couldn't remember things. And it was they didn't warn me. At that time, they didn't know that much about Ambien. And I didn't know that could affect my memory. I was on it for 3 years. That's a long time. But that would be the only safe place I could go where I wouldn't be feeling sad or being possessed by my own thoughts. I would sleep, and I would get away from my terrors in my mind. And so I had an issue with sleeping. I had an issue with my stomach. I had a herniated disc in my neck that was giving me migraines. But it wasn't really severe. And, I went there for healing, but it healed so much more than my physical things. I was dealing with loss, like pain in my heart, because I've lost so many of my family members. I would say, I don't know, how many would you say, D, 15, 20?
I've been, as I said, been with your mom 45 years, and I can't believe the amount of death and loss in her family and friends. She lost multiple high school friends and best friends, cancer, and just suicides and addictions, murder. It was just unbelievable. And I come from my world, very few deaths that I could have experienced, even within my family. And she suffered so many. It was amazing. So I always marveled at her ability to keep putting one foot in front of the other. When she said that she went into depression after she lost 3 family members in a 8-year period, 10-year period.
It was less. I
whatever
think it was 5.
I mean, it was amazing that she continued to function. And I remember the psychiatrist saying that was her maternal instincts. They said she was clinically depressed, but because she was a mom first, she got up every day and took care of you guys and decorated for Christmas and birthday parties. And on the outside, she kept business as usual while being in this depressed state. So it was miraculous.
I mean, this is something so interesting because in the Western viewpoint, we sort of take symptom clusters and we make a prognosis. And you're talking about a much deeper pain. There's no diagnosis for a broken heart. Yet we hear all the time about people dying from a broken heart, losing a loved one, and, days or weeks later, another person in the family dies. And also, these other symptoms, like you said, your insomnia was coming from this broken heart. There's no pharmaceutical medication that is going to heal that broken heart that symptomatically was appearing as insomnia or a neck contusion or parasites in your stomach. We don't know. But you have physical evidence, though, of your parasites, right, were gone. We got brain scans of your brain, and your brain waves completely changed. Your blood, the doctor said your blood looked like that of another person.
Yeah.
And I mean, right? And Dad, you saw this evidence, and this is one of the things that helped you, become a believer that this was more than just, recreational substances of abuse.
I healed something that was more important than that, and that was my heart. So I carried this hole in my heart from losing so many people and this fear of losing more people, because why wouldn't I lose more people? They're dropping like flies. And my last ceremony in Peru, the shaman said to me not to drink the last day. And I said, okay, Mother Ayahuasca told me I was done anyway, so I'm not going to drink the last day. So I went up and Don Howard gave me a cup of ayahuasca. He knew I wasn't drinking. I thanked Mother Aya, and then I went down to go sit in my chair. And next thing I know, I am being pulled off my chair, and I turn around and I look, and my skin suit is sitting on the chair. And I'm like, well, that's weird.
This was without drinking any ayahuasca?
Without drinking. And I started shooting through the universe and felt this unconditional love, like I can't explain it. I got chills just saying it, because this feeling of love was so intense. I'm gonna cry. So intense and overwhelming. I didn't want to come back.
I asked him if they'd mail me the skin suit.
But anyway, at that point, I realized that anybody you love or you care about, you want them to feel this amazing feeling. And when you die, that's just the beginning. You're not dead. It's just the beginning. And it changed my whole look on death. And now I view death as a gift and not as a death sentence.